You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
The wheel is turning and you can't slow it down. You can't let go and you can't hold on. You can't go back.
Hello and welcome back into my wheelhouse. It is the 1st of October. We are in the middle of the NBA preseason. About half the teams have played their first game. A couple have played two. We got some exciting storylines to go through. Sloan and Mike are back.
I like how Brad's doing that. Like he front-loaded the games so we can have a 10-day stretch of practice after they play the 4 games. That was really a pretty good move, pretty good coaching move doing that.
Brad chose when to have the games.
Well, they schedule the games. Brad
doesn't schedule when the games are.
They can schedule.
I think that's a Danny thing.
You think, otherwise they don't even play Charlotte twice in a row if they didn't have some take in who they were playing. They're able to. They're not handed that preseason schedule.
I think that they might be handed that. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Specifications, but I mean,
don't think
the
so.
teams play back-to-backs. Like the Nuggets are playing.
Well, look at they're playing their third game on Tuesday, and then they're playing the 4th game right away. And then they're going to have 10 days of practice. I don't think that happened by accident.
I mean, I like how it works out, and it would be great if
it works out favorably. I would tend to think that would be a president or a GM type move. My friends went to the game the other day against Charlotte.
Yesterday?
They met, yesterday. And they met Mitch Kupchak. They said he was a pretty cool guy.
Yeah,
so he's with Charlotte?
Charlotte.
He's a pretty loop head from what I know. I don't know.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
They took a picture with him. He looked kind of like a weirdo, but they said he was cool. So.
You got any chumps before we get to the wheel?
Oh, I had like a kind of a small chump. Not quite a chump.
Okay, semi-chump.
Bob.
Bo.
But yeah, Bob.
Bo was the chump.
We're going to call him Bob now,
Bob
right?
Williams?
Yeah, Bob. We're calling Bob.
Didn't we do a plus-minus of how many games he's going to play?
Did you see how early he got to the game yesterday?
No, I didn't.
5 hours before.
That's good. He wants to be on time.
And you know why he said he had to leave early?
Because
to avoid the traffic from the Patriots game.
Yeah, why not? Why not? That's okay.
This guy's going to be really unpredictable. I know there's a lot of things we like about him, but
I'm not nervous about how he carries himself. I'm just nervous about how he plays.
I typically don't get mad when people get there too early.
Yeah,
but when your reasoning is the traffic from the Patriots game, and you're in downtown Boston, and the Patriots game's in Foxborough,
maybe he was being a little goofy on purpose. We'll get.
I think he's goofy.
Yeah, maybe he's joking. I don't know.
We got room for him.
Yeah, absolutely. We can use his personality. All right, so the Boston Celtics played 2 games, both against the Charlotte Hornets. We lost the first match, won the second one. We looked good in some parts and bad in some parts. We saw maybe aspects of the rotation that will carry through to the regular season. I think that the preseason is a good test case for all teams for what they're going to try to do with the rotation. Usually in the first half often reflects what coaches are planning on doing in the real NBA game when the regular season goes on. And then as the game proceeds to the second half, that's where they start to get more loose and random players deeper on in the bench go in. But I just wanted to go top to bottom, rank your players, and we can stop when we want to talk about them. So my top 5 Celtics, as of right now, just off of 2 games of what I've seen, I have Kyrie, and then I have Jalen 2, and then I have Tatum 3, I got Horford 4, and I have Terry 5.
Okay.
Who's your 5? Top 5, then we'll go to the rest later.
I think that's realistic. I like what they're doing with their 5. I like the way the team split up on starters and subs. I'm not looking to make any changes there. I know Hayward, and we got a lot to say about him, but I went with Kyrie, Tatum, Brown, Horford, and then Hayward.
Yeah, it's fine.
So it's pretty stock.
Some order of the starting 5.
I'm quite similar as well. Kyrie, Tatum, Gordon, Horford, Brown.
But I think where it gets really interesting for me is that I look at that first team and Hayward's got a long ways to go.
Yes.
And for me last week to say he's got Larry Bird in him, he's pretty far away from Larry Bird right now. And it's going to take time.
I think we've said that he's going to get better and better, and he'll eventually get there.
I would say that he is a little bit slower than he was before, and you can put that on. And he says it's not conditioning, but I'm looking at his first step offensively and defense is a little bit slow, and then his decision making, which is also not being in sync. But he's not finding his opportunity the way he needs to find it. I don't think.
I will say that I have definitely my expectations needed to be completely lower because coming in I was expecting. Not a completely healthy Gordon Hayward, but a Gordon Hayward that was closer to the level of what we formerly saw, and maybe that was just completely inaccurate for me to be able to assume that, and maybe I should have tempered my expectations a little bit more. When Paul George came back with his injury, his first game was slow, but then he kind of ramped it up relatively quickly. Within the first 10 games, he was not back to the level that he was previously, but he was close. And after these first 2 games, I'm seeing areas with Gordon Hayward where he is close to back where he is, specifically defensively. I like where his instincts are at.
He's got great instincts.
I think that that wasn't something that I maybe was as attentive to before, but I'm definitely noticing that. His playmaking ability in terms of being the primarily ball handler in sets, especially the secondary creator as well off of a secondary pick and roll. I like what he's doing there. He has a good awareness for where his teammates are, but in the ability to create for himself, like you say, his quickness and his speed, all of those areas just have an immense amount of rust. And I think eventually he will shake them off. I'm just nervous that I don't know how to temper my expectations moving forward with how
just quickly, I would say that it's important to understand, and I think everybody does, he does not have to be Larry Bird on his team at all.
I mean, it's early, and he's coming off of a gruesome, horrific
mentally
injury.
That's got to be. It's still got to be his
And
head.
you know, I enjoyed some of the aggression that I saw him exercising out there. I mean, he had a chase down block.
That was good.
And, you know, I think all of us had like a collective moment of,
especially when he landed.
You know, holding our breath because he landed down on the
On 1
ground
foot.
behind the basket.
Yeah, and he came down on 1 foot.
But, you know, 2 for 9. Wasn't really creating, but I think it's early. I think it's early. I think he'll get there.
He's pressing.
I think he knows that there's a lot of pressure, that he might be putting up a lot of pressure on himself to sort of make up for last year, which I don't want him to do. I want him to just find himself and get back to his game.
I see like that. Other than Golden State, I don't really see a better first team. I don't see a better second team anywhere.
No.
And I'll go with Shemi, Yabu, and Bob as the best 11, 12, and 13 that's going to play in that league.
Well, okay, we can drop
and
down
their bottom
there.
5 might even be the strongest bottom 5 in the league.
How about the 5 through 10? So I had Terry above Gordon because of Gordon's kind of just the tentativeness and his inability to be back 100% health-wise.
Sure.
And how?
I guess to rate him, it's fair. It's
also,
fair. I mean, you actually could have rated Rozier number 2.
Well, you could have.
You could have. I got him sorted out by the way Brad's playing.
Terry, in terms of what maybe level of oppressiveness, I think Terry is all the way near the top. His consistency and his absolute drive to be, even if he isn't the best player on the floor, you can tell he has that mentality and it seeps through. And he knows where his spots are. He finds them with ease. He's getting to the hoop. He's drawing contact. He's getting to the free throw line, and he's finding his teammates. I've loved everything I've seen from him, and I really, really like him in the backup court. And we hear Brad talking him up, saying, "I need to find as many minutes as possible for Terry because he's clearly he deserves it."
He's got much more confidence in his play.
Yes.
He's got much more consistency in his play, and I think that's real. I mean, you're not seeing lapses out there when he's on the court.
Not as many mistakes.
And you're seeing a lot of confidence in how he's playing. He's an NBA starter, and we said that last year, but it's very intriguing that he's going to plug into that role as he is, and it looks like he is, but it's hard to figure.
I think for me, Marcus Smart and Terry Rozier are like 6A and 6B.
Yeah.
I think they're both equally as important to this team, just as important as anybody else maybe. And then I've got Morris, Baines, and Tice.
And I think Morris is 6C. I think Morris brings so much. Because on the first team, the weaknesses that I see is still what's been maybe is defensive rebounding. And in that first game, I mean, you can give, and Bridges was great, and he was great in both games, but they let him have lanes right to the rim with that, and the first team, and those players, the whole team, but the rebounders on that team are Rozier, Smart, and Morris. Yeah. And it's certainly not, and Al Horford, I'm getting a little tired of compensating for Al Horford's lack of rebounding by saying he blocks out real well, because the guy's just not a good rebounder. He's not a good defensive rebounder. No. And on that first team, you really, Hayward's not rebounding right now either, so it's, where are their rebounders? It's really Tatum and Brown.
Jalen and Tatum are the two most aggressive rebounders.
It's not going to be Kyrie. No. So they need that rebounding off the bench.
I hear what you're saying.
And Baines, too.
I think reasons why we can, forgive Horford for not being a good rebounder is because he's such such a good defender, and a lot of the time he's
We
locking
can forgive
down
him,
that
but we have to
go-to.
acknowledge that he doesn't get a lot of defensive
and that
rebounds.
is one of the large weaknesses that the Celtics perennially have is rebounding.
I don't think they have any large
They could
weaknesses.
still use
but-
a big man.
Yes, and I think that big man is slotting in. I have Bo Williams at 9. I don't know. You have him at like 11 or 12.
I
I have him as the
Jeez.
9th best player on this team. I think everything you guys are saying, I think he fills that need. I think
Who? Bob?
Bo Williams. I think he has the best rebounding.
You're calling Bo?
Yeah, I can call him whatever.
I like Bob.
Bo's way cooler.
Bo's
Also,
cool,
Who
but
likes
nobody else is
Bob?
calling him Bo.
Bob's a terrible name.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's what Scal's calling him right away.
Well, that's because Bo Williams says he doesn't want to be called Bo. I'm sorry, Bo, but Bo's cooler.
Okay.
But his rebounding instincts, his tenacity as a rebounder, his aggressiveness, and his athleticism are all at such an elite level that he can fulfill that role and that need that the Celtics have. He was drawing fouls on the offensive end while getting rebounds on the person who was trying to box him out because he was too much of a load to handle. I love his aggressiveness, and I think he fills that need great. I want to see lots of minutes in the middle of the second quarter. Maybe when you bring Horford back in.
How'd you like this move?
It's not called. That's a great move. If it's not called.
For 15th man on a team that's playing his first game, that referee must have been thinking, you can't get your hands on me. You know, you got to be kidding me. He was actually giving him a semi-hug on the court while he's talking. What was that?
He was conversing with him. He wants to be able to understand what he did wrong.
Yeah, but no player, you're not allowed to do that in the NBA.
That's
but I will say, Shea, I'm with you on it.
He's a weirdo.
And I think he can contribute in short minutes. So he can contribute in 3 to 4 minutes out there. He can get things done. It's like it happens as soon as he's on the floor. I love his elevation. You know what? The best thing I saw of him is the way he contested the three-pointer on Monk and Frank the Tank.
Yeah, incredible.
He was right out there, and he blocked Monk's shot.
Yes.
And he blocked Frank. Frank the Tank is 7 feet tall, taking a three-pointer. And Bob went out there, I'm calling him Bob, all the way out, and he blocked both those shots. I thought that was impressive.
I think in every aspect of the game, he is a perfect fit for this Celtics roster for what we need. We were nervous after the draft for what the things that started when he started to fulfill all of these negative outlooks that critics had about him, with him maybe not having a good temperament, maybe he wasn't motivated, and maybe he was laxy and lazy still and unorganized, and he still might be all of those things.
Yeah, I think you want him to be something that he's not.
Right, but that's perfectly fine. As long as on the floor he's contributing in ways that we need. This guy is a player that matters.
There's no room for him to play.
I don't think he's going to be
disagree.
on the court. I think there's a 10-man rotation, and he's outside that.
You like him
10.
better than Tice?
I like him better than Tice.
I don't.
I like him
Baines?
better
I
than
don't.
Marcus Morris.
Come on, Chad.
I just think that with
You're going to start that again this year?
I am going to start this with this thing.
Marcus Morris he's a starter in that league. That Marcus
He is
Morris.
a starter in this league. We have 10
No,
starters
you like
on this
Bob
team.
Williams better than Marcus
Yes,
Morris?
but
Marcus Morris was
Oh,
a
boy.
top 4
Come
difference
on.
maker for the Celtics in the playoffs.
Yeah, why do you
And he
think that
still
was?
is.
Why do you think that was? It was because we didn't have offensive creators and we needed some aggressiveness.
He's
He's
also
also very good at
the
basketball.
other thing he's done, Shay, is he's created an identity on that second team that's
Yes,
nice. So,
and
so what's
I
his
agree.
nickname for him? I like LeBron's is Mud for the Lakers, but you got a nickname for him,
BWA.
and they bought into
Yes,
it.
and I
So
agree.
Rozier-
And I
so
think he fits that mentality
Bob
well.
needs
And
to be
I love Marcus Morris
babysat the
as
whole
a role
time.
player on that bench. But now
you don't like Morris at all, period.
No, I don't. But I understand
Right.
what his value is
So
for the
yeah, that
team.
stands in the way of you
No,
evaluating
no, it
him
doesn't.
realistically. The guy's a real strong player.
Saying
the
that
reason-
Williams is better than
Fundamental, I
Morris.
love how he squares and
I'm
shoots.
not
I
saying
love
that
how
he's
his eyes
better.
are on
I'm
the
not saying
rim.
that
I
he's
love
better.
how he rebounds.
I'm saying that Williams
solid
is a
player.
more effective contributor for this
No
Celtics
way.
team. Marcus Morris is an offensive creator who has grit.
He plays hard. He rebounds hard.
Yes.
He plays defense hard.
Gordon Hayward's offensive capabilities alleviate the pressure needed that Marcus Morris had to provide on the offensive end of the floor. Now we're seeing Iso Mook coming in, and it's becoming more of a bane to this team when he's on the floor and he's contributing offensively. We don't need another offensive creator on the second unit if they're filtered in with starters here and there. We need someone who can run the floor, who can defend, and who can rebound. Marcus Morris can do some of those things, but more often than not, his offensive tendencies get in the way of that. I think Bo Williams is the answer as a bigger man who can do all the things besides offensive scoring and isolation that Marcus Morris
Give
can
him
do.
some time, Shay. Don't
I
push
hope
him
you're
ahead
right.
this
I just
fast.
don't think he's really going to crack.
Pushing some. I mean,
I think Bo
I think-
Williams looks like he's an elite lob threat. He looks like he's maybe the best screen setter on this team already. The things that I'm seeing,
that's an overstatement.
screw it. You see the screens that he sets? No one sets screens
Al
that far on this
Horford,
team.
Quick. He's got
Baines?
very quick feet. He
Horford sits like
finishes
that illegal.
decently. I'm very happy with his progression, but I think Shemi and Yabu are both better contributors than he is.
I think Semi is right there with him. I also think Semi is more.
I think Yabu is too.
And Yabu is.
Shemi's going to stop firing up three-pointers. That team, we started off that first preseason game, we were, what, 9 for 47? 7 for 47 for three-point land. And that's a large part due to Shemi just hawking up jumpers from 25 feet out.
Do you think that reflects maybe play style identity that we're trying to increase, moving more towards the season, where we're trying to put an emphasis on?
I think Brad's got his handle on it. I think he's got he knows how he wants those threes taken. He doesn't want the threes being pull-up threes. He wants them coming off rotation. He wants them coming off penetrating kick. That's where he wants all the threes, and you can take a three anytime you want.
I don't want Shemi taking them many
I don't dislike the 47 number. It's just sad that it wasn't at a higher efficiency clip, and that's fine. Moving forward, we're going to have games where we shoot over 45 threes, and we're going to shoot better than that because more likely than not, the people that are going to be taking them aren't going to be bottom of the roster.
And also, Hayward's going to hit threes. I mean, Hayward's not going to go. He's not going to shoot 20% from the threes.
I really don't think anybody outside of my 10-man rotation is going to average more than 5 minutes a game.
5 minutes? I think that we're going to find a way to get minutes pretty well spread out across the bench. I don't think that anyone is going to have over maybe 31 is the max minutes on this team. I think that's
Kyrie going to be happy with that? Not that he wants. Not what he
I think Kyrie loves that.
How do you like the Uncle Drew look?
He looks incredible. It's my favorite look he's ever had.
Okay.
With the headband and the fro, you don't like the mini fro?
I kind of like it, but I mean, Uncle Drew was last summer. I mean, he doesn't have to be Uncle Drew now. You know,
he's not dressed up like an old man.
I am also pro-fro.
Yes, the headband
pro-fro.
is great. So how about what we've seen from the two young guys, Jalen and Tatum? Both of them have shown a clear push to be more aggressive. It's been more efficient on Jalen's end than Tatum's end. We see maybe a little bit of that Mamba mentality bleaking into Tatum's creation offensively, which is fine. It's just that maybe he should dial back some of that early shot clock long two and maybe get more back into the flow of the offense where he's catching on threes. That's where we'd like to see him efficient.
I think everything you see from Tatum is so good. And he's out there and you're saying he's 4 for 18, then he hit 6 shots in a row.
Yeah, 13 points 4 for 18,
then he hit 6
minutes.
shots in a row. What I really like when he was playing out there, I love how Rozier pushes the ball as opposed to how the rest of the team pushes the ball. And Rozier pushes the ball with a quick pass off the dribble coming up. The other guys, the ball hangs in their hands a little bit. I would want to see the quick pass and transition more because Tatum really gets out. And that brought me off my chair. The bounce pass behind his back. That was incredible. Yeah. The movement to get Tatum the open shots when the ball was kicking around. Nice combination, him and Terry Rozier. I'm seeing out there, and one thing I'm seeing with his team overall total, and I mean, I'm going out on a limb all the time, but I'm seeing that what I would love to see eventually on this team, and I don't know when it's going to happen, it might be down the road, I want to see Rozier and Smart and Thomas and Brown and Anthony Davis. That's what I want to see. That's my dream. And I don't really think it has to be Kyrie, Horford, or Hayward. I don't think they are necessary for that team to be the team I want to watch best. Not necessarily the team that's going to be champion, but I would love to watch JT and JB and Rozier and Smart and Anthony Davis. That would be, to me, unbelievable. And they could trade. They could
I thought he wanted Isaiah Thomas back for a second.
Confused.
What?
You said Thomas.
Isaiah, what did I say? Isaiah Thomas?
Yeah.
Wait, did I just say
You said Thomas instead of Tatum. But I know.
Oh, Tatum. No, I mean Tatum.
I agree with you, and I like that we have so many just the freedom to be multifaceted in so many ways, and we see lineups that have already in the preseason that have Kyrie, Rozier, and Smart in the lineup.
That's a good point.
And we saw that input last season, and that
the whole 48, they always have an elite team on the floor.
Yeah,
all 48 minutes they have an elite team on the floor. There's no team in the NBA that can do that.
Right. No, it's very interesting, and maybe part of my expectations for Gordon were so disappointed was because I had kind of comparable expectations for Kyrie because they were both coming off of an injury. One had a surgery more recently, that being Kyrie.
Kyrie looks bad.
And I was just expecting them to both be at this ready-to-play level. Yeah. And when Kyrie came in and he was more present early in the game,
his first quarter.
He was so clearly back all the way.
Yeah.
He was maybe even better than he was before his injury came back, and he was more explosive. He was more aggressive finishing at the hoop. His handles are effervescent as always.
The magic is there.
And then that compared to Gordon being still that rust maybe made that more dramatic than it needed to be. But Kyrie really, in terms of the people that impressed, it was him and Rozier he's all the way there, and I think he's absolutely at a top 10 player caliber right now.
So he's the best player on the second best team in the world.
Yeah, I think Shea, I already took my hand on Shea, but I was on the parentheses last year. I think P.J. Dozier is a player, and I think
I have him 14th. I have him 14th.
I got him 14th, but I think he's moving up.
Wanamaker stinks. I don't
Yeah,
like
no,
Wanamaker. He's terrible. He's terrible.
Somebody you're going to say, who's the other guy, the left-hander? He played a little bit better, but I'm just thinking that Wanamaker probably makes things already.
Walt Lemon looked better than Wanamaker.
Lemon looked
better than Wanamaker.
He did.
Yeah,
But Wanamaker looked
his
good at the
name's
end
Walt
of the game.
Lemon?
Wanamaker
Yeah,
looked good at the
So
end
a
of the game.
combination of Walter Matthau and Jack Lemon.
Yeah, sure, I agree. Why not?
But on Dozier,
call him the
that
grumpy
guy
old
can
man.
play. I mean,
He's aggressive.
Well, he's 6'6" and 6'7", and he can really. I know him because he went to South Carolina, and he's the greatest basketball player that South Carolina has recruited in this modern era. And he left after the Final Four team. He left the team, and everybody kind of went, what the heck's he doing? He's only a sophomore, but he played scored 13 points a game. But see how he hustled? You see him get on the floor?
I
You
think
see him
he's
follow
gonna be-
shots? You see him rebound?
Yeah, he had to put back late
He's
in the
got
game
a great
to help-
handle.
to help
He's got a
clinch that
good
game.
shot. I think he's a real sleeper.
I think he's a real sleeper to be all-star on the G League main market.
Well, I think he gets. He's got a two-way contract, so you're going to see him. You're going to see him.
No, I like him, and I think that's where the rotation tails off. I think we have 13 players that are going to get more minutes than you'd expect. I think that the Bain, Semi, Bo, Marcus Morris, Gershon, and then Tice, all those guys.
Yeah, how can you lump Morrison
winning
in
a lot of
with?
games
You
by
just lump
20,
Morrison
so.
with Baines, Tice, Semi, and
Because-
Yabo.
because- because we have the seven-
You got to lump
because-
Morrison with Smart and Rozier.
there is a
You
tier
got to
top.
be kidding me.
There's
You
a
don't
tier
think
top.
that's how Stevens is going to play him? You can't tell. You're not seeing that's how he's going to be played.
I don't like how
He's being
I don't
played
like
as
how
the
he's
first big in
contributing
the
offensively.
game.
I don't
I
like
think
how
it's
he's
wheel
contributing
time.
offensively. You can spin it. All right, so I wanted to talk about just maybe outside the Celtics, and if you wanted to put Celtics in this category, we can talk about it too. Just based off of the first 2 games or so, 16 of the 30 teams have played. Who looks noticeably better? I have a couple team players. I watched almost every game. I didn't get to see I didn't watch the Spurs Heat game. I didn't watch the Warriors T-Wolves game, and I didn't watch the Jazz game.
I watched the Spurs Heat game.
But I watched every other game, and my main draws for who looks better than they did last year. There's some star players in the tier. I think Damian Lillard has taken a step with his creation and his aggressiveness defensively. I saw things that I wasn't seeing last year. I think Jokic looks much more aggressive. He looks stronger, if that's even possible. I think LeBron looks, even though he was being reserved, I think he's clearly showing that he's going to be shooting at a higher clip than he was last year. But then getting down to a lower tier, I really liked what I saw from DeAndre Jordan, Kyle Kuzma, and Jabari Parker as my who looks better. I think those 3 guys all added different aspects to their game, specifically DeAndre Jordan. And maybe we can, I don't know if they're considered in a different area, but those 3 together on the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic, Dennis Smith, and DeAndre Jordan, already have such impeccable chemistry. I think it's a lot about how the offense is run with Carlisle and how he's instituting it. I'm seeing creation where DeAndre Jordan is catching the ball high post, even at the 3-point line, wing extended, and he's being the fulcrum of that offense, and he's creating, and he's looking, and he's making bounce passes, he's cutting and throwing out. He's throwing passes to cutters over the heads of defenders that I've never seen him throw before, and he's been in the NBA for so many years.
I focused on which teams I thought were
That's fine.
better,
Yep.
and Chicago. I mean, Dallas was definitely one of them. And
Dallas
they were
looks incredible.
21 and 58
Right, of
last
course.
year, and now you're seeing things where that team's starting to come together, and it looks good. I love what I saw with Doncic.
Yep.
I understand now why he's playing the 4.
Yeah.
At 19 years old, 20 years old, the guy has put on weight. You got to say it. I mean,
He's big, yeah. He's big.
He's big, but he's no longer a 1 or a 2. I understand what you were saying last week as far as the new way of playing in terms of bringing the ball up the court, that he's all over the open court in terms of getting him the ball. Yep. His passing looks really good.
Yeah, incredible.
I think his shooting looks good, and he looks like he's ready to step up, and that changes that whole team.
The more I see of the Mavs, and the more I like from what I'm seeing, from what Carlisle is doing with those rotations, even players like Maxi Kleber is coming in, and he's just fitting in perfect with this flowing offense that's equal creation and equal opportunity, especially with Doncic and Dennis Smith at the helm. The more likely I am to think higher of them. And in the middle of the summer, when we were talking about Doncic after the Mavs landed him in the draft, and just what expectations they can be hopeful to have coming towards this season. And the playoffs was kind of not necessarily a pipe dream, but with so many other strong teams in the West, it would be cool if they could be in playoff contention, but I think it was commonly understood that they would kind of be on the blip outside. I think the more I see of that team, the more likely I am to anoint them in the same tier as the Pelicans, as the Trailblazers, as the other teams around that 6 to 10 and hope to be able to do that. I like that team, and I think they have the ability to be feisty. And even if they don't have a top 20 player like these other teams do, I think they have the coaching, and I think they have. I think they have the top to bottom just chemistry and awareness already, even with a basically completely new roster, that they can contend for a playoff spot.
It's a good nucleus, and they're good, smart players with good cores.
Even Dirk is
a lot of good upside. Like you said, they're well coached. I like Dirk as the mentor in that situation, and I like that core. I like that that three. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be one of the more exciting three players to watch as far as
another player that I would say who's definitely better is Turner, Miles Turner.
Miles Turner.
Yeah, I just think he's just looking at his body, looking at
they haven't played yet.
How do you know? Well, you know what I would say? You know what I say? How the hell can you tell by watching these freaking games whether somebody's improved? Because these games are garbage, and yeah, they are. You know, I mean, if it wasn't for the Celtics, I tried watching some other games, but the other games, there's not a lot I can really tell from watching the.
What do you mean? If starters versus starters, you don't think that they're trying? What do you mean?
I think they are, but I just don't think they're ready to be judged in terms of who's better and who's worse.
I think every data point is a sample that you can use.
I'm looking at the whole preseason and reading stuff that's going on, and I would say we're going to see Sacramento tonight, and I would say Giles is a much improved player too. But
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I
refuse to judge it by looking at these exhibition games.
Yeah, what did you watch?
Much to Chrissy's dismay, she was like, "Wait, basketball's on already?" Yeah. And I saw the Heat and Spurs game, and Hassan Whiteside looked awesome, which was a surprise to awesome. He put up 20 points, 13 rebounds. He was everywhere defensively. He was blocking out. He seemed to be committed. So I really didn't expect that.
I think that that Spurs team is an interesting team that, although I didn't watch the game, that I don't know how much I'll be able to draw from them, especially on terms of bigs that produce against them, because their front court is so weak defensively. And that was something I was a little nervous about taking from the Mavericks, because they were playing the Beijing Ducks, who, I mean, even though they had former NBA players in the team, obviously there's no current NBA talent.
Who was a former NBA player?
Justin Hamilton, who played on the Nets for a while, and there was a couple other players that were just fringe players.
They get some nice money over there.
Yeah, it's a very well regarded team. But I mean, I feel like I want to like what I'm seeing from Whiteside, because I watched the highlights and stuff, but I think it might be a lot of kind of airy calories, and I don't know if he necessarily is going, when he gets to the regular season, whether it's going to translate into wins. I still like the duo of Kelly Olynyk and Bam Adebayo in terms of that front court rotation being able to help that team rather than Whiteside.
Dwayne Wade looked great too. I mean, in the first half, he was dishing out assists.
Dwayne Wade did look great.
He was dropping dimes to Olynyk, and Olynyk plays very well with that team. There's a lot of smart players on that team.
How did DeJunto look?
He looked all right.
Yeah.
I think what you and I want him to be, especially for that team and that franchise, he's not quite there yet.
That's fine.
But I think by the end of the season, the Spurs will figure it out.
I think Miami and Indiana and even Brooklyn, in a way, are threats to the Celtics in a one-game situation because of the way they attack the boards, how they rebound. They're very, very active. They go real hard to the boards. They're coached in a way that they're rebounding in a way that the Celtics top five, that their pursuit of the ball is really strong. And Philly's the same thing. So you got four teams out there that could take advantage of that weakness with the Celtics, and Miami's definitely one of them for me. Another team that I think has improved, and I enjoyed watching the Celtics, but Charlotte's definitely improved. I mean, I think the coaching is better on that than it was before.
Well, it's pretty weird to see Tony Parker in a Charlotte uniform.
Yeah, but he looks like he'd be okay as a backup.
Backup guard.
I think your guy Monk looks a lot better.
He's one of my 5 favorites.
Okay. I thought the spacing was real good. You got to say, Miles looked really good, right? Did you? I mean, he had as good a game as anybody in the league last night. Yeah. It looks like a decent
overall. I mean, in terms of that team overall, I'm not sure what to take from Borrego yet. He really wants to institute defensive strategies, but that team kind of already had a revamped defense with Steve Clifford from last year.
Yeah.
He helped them defense, so I don't know if Borrego can take them to another level. Kemba's still Kemba. I don't think he's going to take another jump. He's going to continue to be a top 25-ish player and stay around that area.
Traded by the midway
I think
point
that
of the
that would
They
make
might like
sense
what they
for them
got
to
there.
do. I think that they should maybe try to lean towards that, and then giving more and more opportunities and minutes to Monk and Bridges, because I like that those guys, the way that they're looking
They
in their
competed
outlook.
reasonably well with maybe the best team in the league.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they competed reasonably
they
well
both-
for the first half, and then they won one game in the second half.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I'm not high on Batum. I'm not high on Marvin Williams. I'm not
Okay.
high on Jeremy Lamb. They're
I'm
supporting
high on Jeremy Lamb.
They're supporting.
I think Jeremy Lamb's a good player.
Their supporting pieces aren't enough to make a difference for me.
No, but I mean, improve, better.
Lamb takes a
maybe.
lot of threes.
I think that it's going to be a lot of the same with
They're
the Charlotte
pretty
Hornets.
stagnant.
I think it's a lot of the Charlotte
I
Hornets.
see some activity there.
How about a team we touched on in the beginning, the Chicago Bulls?
Yeah.
They really
Markkinen,
surprised me. Laurie Markkinen, we got
That's bad.
disappointing news in a practice. He hurt his arm.
That's bad.
He's out for 6 to 8 weeks. I don't think it's that bad. Maybe it's bad for Laurie, but I think for the Bulls, I think it's going to be interesting in terms of their ability to now give more opportunities to the different mouths on that team that need to be fed. Jabari and Zach LaVine are going to be
That's
high.
interesting that you saw Jabari stepping up.
Yeah, he looked great. Jabari
he
and
did
Zach
in the playoffs last year to me.
Jabari and Zach LaVine are two
about
formally discussed high usage, low efficiency players, but without Laurie there, it's going to be less obvious maybe that they're going to be low efficiency, and it's going to be more necessary that they take the shots that they're going to be taking.
I think that sets them back.
I'm not expecting them to be a playoff team anyway. I think that this is an exciting roster, and I think that they want to give Zach LaVine the ability to cultivate himself and be able to develop into maybe having that look of being an all-star down the line. He looked incredible. I think he was clearly their best player.
In this iteration of the NBA, I don't think there's that many games where you'd be like, oh, I'm not interested in watching that at all.
Right.
You know, whereas like 10 years ago, we'd be like, oh, that's two crappy teams.
Yes.
I think there's upsides to almost every team in the NBA, and I think they're all watchable at this point.
I'm not sure Carter has established himself like he thought he was going to.
I was semi-disappointed. I was disappointed what I saw in the first game.
And it tells you Summer League is just not the same thing.
The more that I see from them, the more I begin to like what I'm seeing from Hoiberg, actually. Their offense is similar to the Celtics, even similar to the Mavericks. It's also very free-flowing, and they're not necessarily equal opportunity, but in terms of who initiates the offense and who the offense flows through, the opportunities are there for each facet of the team to be that person who has that load on their shoulders. We saw Jabari Parker playing, not playing point guard, but having point guard duties for aspects of that game. We saw Chris Dunn playing great off-ball roles, which is something formerly we didn't think he was going to be able to do. Obviously, we said Zach LaVine, his shot creation, his explosiveness looks to be back at where it was. I like this team. I'm going to be watching a lot of them. Just based off this alone, this game alone, they skyrocketed up my league pass watchability.
But I think Markkinen's the face of the franchise, and that's a problem.
I think he's their best player. All right,
You don't.
I think he's their best player. Yeah.
One person I'll be looking for tonight, they're playing their first game, the Wizards, Otto Porter.
Yeah.
He's on one of my watch lists.
Yeah.
And not just because he's on my dynasty
I've always
team.
liked him.
I think
Shea doesn't like him at
I think
all.
if they unleash the beast, he could be a real
He's a solid player.
impact player.
I think
for
they
that
should
team.
trade him for Jimmy Butler. Spin it.
Wall and Beal. They don't mix.
All right, rookie extension candidates. So the 2015 draft eligible players are going to be able to sign a rookie extension for new contracts on October 15th, just about 2 weeks away. We already saw Devin Booker and Karl Anthony Towns sign max extensions.
Did Towns sign?
Yes, he
yeah.
did.
I thought he was going to wait until Butler got
He
traded.
was, but
No,
basically
it
as soon as the rumor came up, we talked about it last week, but
Okay,
yeah, he's looking for it. So I just wanted to rank maybe the top 4 or 5 guys in terms of rookie extension, what you expect the teams to do and how much money they could garner. So just some names that are from that draft. I have them in order, but this is their names. I have Kristaps, Terry, Miles Turner, D'Angelo Russell, Hollis Jefferson, Kelly Oubre, Justice Winslow, Tyus Jones, Bobby Portis, DeLon Wright, and then it goes pretty downhill. But which of these guys do you expect their teams to really
I think
go
Miles
all
Turner-
in on?
I think Miles Turner's all in.
Yeah, you think?
I think him and Oladipo they're going with that. I think he's all in.
And why wouldn't they? I mean, they
And
were
maybe Larry
number
Nance,
4
too.
in the
Larry
East.
Nance, yep,
Maybe
Larry
Larry
Nance.
Nance, too.
The Cavs have been reportedly very high and really eager to come
Terry
to a deal with him.
Rozier should be.
Yeah, how much money do you see him getting? Because I think he's in the $16 to $18 million range, and I'm nervous that that's not a contract that the Celtics will be willing to garner. And that's
Yeah.
okay with me. I would be. I would be happy.
Terry Rozier won't be re-signing with the Celtics.
I don't think he's going to be. I think it's very sad, but I'm going to be really happy if he goes to Orlando and flourishes. How cool would it be if he was a starting?
Or Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, either way. If he was a starting point guard.
With that. I want
him on the team. I agree, but if we can't have him. I mean, we don't have the money.
We might not have Kyrie, so wouldn't you rather have that backup position and when Kyrie, because it's still solid if Kyrie's not there.
Yeah, I think it's
Although
more
Smart's
likely.
good too.
I will say I think it's more likely that we retain Kyrie than that we extend Terry Rozier.
I think I could also see Terry maybe in Brooklyn, and especially if they make a play for Jimmy Butler and Dinwiddie is a part of that.
No, yeah.
Or I could see him in Miami for a gritty,
there's
Miami
certain
team.
teams that I think would break the 20 million threshold for Terry Rozier because of their lack of a reputable point guard on the roster already.
I agree with the range that you have.
I think that he could fulfill that role. I'm excited for Terry for whatever opportunity he gets.
Just kind of a sideline, but how do you like the sneaks? How do you like the shoes?
Yeah, Pumas are nice. They're nice. Pumas.
Well, and they met. I thought that match of that sneaker with that player was as good of a match of player and sneaker as I've seen.
I like it.
It fit Rozier perfectly.
Great analysis.
Some of what Rozier's saying, he's saying we got some real crazy things in store for Puma.
I hope so.
And I'm taking over the Puma world.
Yes,
Terry
good.
goes.
I like that he's the face of the brand because when the draft came around, it was Aiton Bagley, and those guys have been relatively quiet besides a couple photo shoots. Terry is really taking this by the horns.
Yeah, he is. I think it's a sign of his confidence. It's a sign of where he's going to be, and I think he's got this little edge, this little chip on his shoulder that's saying, I'm going to be Puma.
Right.
You guys can be whatever you want, but Terry Rozier is taking this to the top.
So it reminds me of that classic Chris Rock quote. He said, somebody steps on your shoes, let it slide.
You're a
don't
sneaker
spend
guy.
the rest of your life
I like
in jail.
Give me another example of a player in a sneaker that match like that. I mean, to me, I'm just looking, those are his sneakers.
Yeah,
when you talk about, you mentioned Justice Winslow. I'm wondering if he's going to be a part of a move.
He hasn't
if
played
they
much
get Jimmy
He
Butler.
looked terrible. And from I went back and watched just some player-only highlights. He looked bad.
Yeah, I don't know how saleable he is in a move like that.
He's had 2 years where he's hardly played at all.
Yeah.
I think that the teams in moves for Butler are going to have to involve future picks.
Right.
And Brooklyn is one of those teams that actually has a couple of those down the line.
Yep.
So.
Okay, so maybe going back to Brooklyn, these two players are on this rookie extension list, D'Angelo Russell, Hollis Jefferson. Which one do you think Brooklyn is more likely to extend, and which one has more value for the
Hollis
franchise?
Jefferson.
I think the biggest problem on that team, and I like that team, and I think the coach is one of the better coaches in the league. I like Atkinson a real lot.
He's a good coach.
And Joe Harris. I think the biggest problem on that team is D'Angelo Russell. And if you start thinking that he's the one that's going to lead you to the promised land, I think it's a big mistake. And I think they're doing that, and I think that's a downfall. I'd like to see him out of there.
I think Rondé Hollis Jefferson actually proves a purpose for them going forward.
Yep, definitely.
I'm on the same page with both of you. I do like the D'Angelo Russell prototype as a player in terms of what he could potentially offer, but what the Nets are trying to push forward as their identity, D'Angelo Russell does not match that. And other players on that roster are so much more defensively minded. Karis LeVert, I expect a big jump from him this year. I think he's a great two player. I like Dinwiddie. I don't know whether they're attached to him or whether they're attached to Russell, but Hollis Jefferson and LeVert and Jarrett Allen, these guys have a lot of promise moving forward in terms of what they offer as a prototype, as a player, on the defensive end specifically. And I think their pace is going to continue to motivate that team to be really, really watchable. And I like Hollis Jefferson as a modern four. He can play some five. His defensive acumen is great. His ability to create on offense as like a Draymond Green type of a creator for his team is starting to blossom. I really like him. And obviously Russell's the bigger name, but like you guys, I do think that they should give their attention to Hollis Jefferson. Just on some last one, what do you think about?
I think Kristaps is an interesting
I think he's immediate, max out. You don't?
But it's $30 million, and he's injured. So I'm thinking they got to wait.
You don't think it's an immediate
I think
max?
they got to see him. For $30 million, I think you got to see him.
Okay.
So I think
I would max him immediately.
You would?
I think he's a franchise
It's
player.
the Knicks. They're a barren
But he
wasteland
hasn't played in a year.
Yeah, but he's still their best hope, and he's the unicorn.
Best hope, but $30 million is what he's going to come in.
The Knicks front office is perennially morbid. And I think that if they hope to really hit some home runs in the coming free agency years where there are big name free agents that are going to be potentially looking to go to New York, they need to display that not only do they have a vision for the team becoming a playoff prominent team moving forward, but they also have loyalty and dedication to really invest in their talent that they have there. I think showing Kristaps that they have the loyalty and trust in him to be
True.
the franchise caliber player and giving
That's a
him the
good
max
point.
extension immediately. It might not sway a lot, but if it can make the difference between you being able to sign, I don't even know, Jimmy Butler in free agency or
Kyrie.
yeah, or a lesser tier star because of what your relationship you're showing that you have with your players, I think it makes a difference.
that'll
I think they should max him out, no question.
Kyrie let slide the other day that we've worked on bettering ourselves for now and for down the line.
Kyrie's not leaving.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Years
want
down the line.
He doesn't
I
want
think Kyrie's staying.
I don't think he does either.
Last player of
That's
this
a long
last
way to
player
go.
of this group. What do you guys think about Kelly Oubre Jr.?
That's an interesting one. I think he's a good player, and I think if you can get him for the right amount of money, he's fine. So I would assume that he's not a $10 million player.
No, he is.
He is.
I think that they're going to spend probably between 12 and 15 on him.
Okay.
And depending on what it is, I don't think that he's going to have a long contract, maybe like a 2 or 3 year to allow him to get back into free agency when he's still maybe even pre-prime. That way he'll have more freedom to earn more money on another contract in his young NBA career. I like what he offers. I think that he has a higher ceiling than Otto Porter. I don't know that's not a popular opinion. Obviously, Otto Porter is a more established player, a more efficient player, a better player now. But I think his ceiling makes more sense.
Throw the caveat in there.
No, that's fine. And
Better player now.
I just think that
30 minutes
if
from
I was
now.
the Washington Wizards, who outlook isn't that strong,
True.
I would be looking to trade their most valuable piece in a trade, which probably is,
Wall.
if not Bradley Beal. No, I don't think John Wall has that valuable of a trade value because of his contract. He has a $40 million contract. He's going to be earning $42 million when he's 33.
And
why wouldn't
and
Phoenix
he's a
want that?
point guard.
Yes,
Why
so-
wouldn't teams don't want
So
point guards
John
right now?
Wall's value isn't as large as Bradley Beal or even
Okay.
Otto Porter in a trade. I think that they should trade Otto Porter for a Jimmy Butler, and then that fourth fiddle for Kelly Oubre to step in as a 4
I'd like to see
behind
that.
that
I'd like
3.
to see that.
I think that would really be able to cultivate his skills, and I think that would help him a lot. I think
I
that
like
they should keep him
Oubre. He's
around.
one of my
I
favorite
like
players.
Oubre. I think
He's a
good
high
player.
intensity player, and he always seems to make some huge play in the playoffs.
He does.
too.
He does.
He's cool. He's smooth.
He's got a big. He's got a
Not
good head.
worthless.
He's got a good head. on his
Two
shoulders
other
in terms
guys
of
I think they
intensity.
should keep. I think they should keep Willie Cauley-Stein.
Yeah,
I
you
do.
like him?
Yep, I think they should keep him. I think he fits that team with Giles. I like
As a
him enough
backup?
to keep. No,
he starting?
I think he can be a
He
starting
starts
center.
with Bagley?
And I think Frank the Tank should be kept too.
Oh, I hate Frank.
Head Frank the Tank.
He's terrible.
Okay.
He should be out of the NBA.
All right. Okay.
Breaking the wheel. No, we already did that one.
We ranked him.
That's because the wheel moved.
Yeah,
That's
for
why.
sure. 5 favorite non-Celtics.
Okay.
My 5 favorite non-Celtics. We've already talked about them. Malik Monk, Luka Doncic, Dennis Smith, Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn. I think that
Well,
Luka.
same again. I'm interested in this.
Malik Monk,
Okay.
Luka Doncic, Dennis Smith, Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn. Dennis Smith is automatically one of my 5 favorite players
Two
in the
Mavericks.
entire league. I think the Luka Doncic, Dennis Smith is maybe my favorite backcourt in the entire league. Luka Doncic looks like he's going to be playing minutes at every single position for the Dallas Mavericks. He played minutes at the 1. He played minutes at the 5. Things that I was most impressed with him was he was everything and more for what we expected from him offensively in terms of his creation, in terms of him being an absolute fulcrum for offense and transition, his
Yeah.
ability to find teammates, and that flowing offense really circulating around him. He did all of that. But what he offered that wasn't formally discussed or even notioned at is this guy is a real nag on defense. He gets into people. He's strong, very, very strong, and he's big. I know you're saying he looks a little overweight.
No, I just think he's good. I just think
he
he's at
is-
a different
He
position.
looks like he's
not at the 1 and the 2 anymore.
He's large.
He's large.
He can defend centers, and there were stretches there where he was out-bodying the other team's
That's what I
big.
didn't know before.
He was crashing defensively as a weak side rim protector, blocking shots at the rim.
I saw
Luka
that.
Doncic was very, very impressive defensively, and it wasn't just that. When he switched or primarily started on defending on the point guard or the 2 guard, he had quick feet. He was moving side to side. He was able to get around screens. I was most impressed with Luka Doncic on the defensive end of the ball.
Passer. And I don't think it'll be. It's not going to be long before they start challenging this 3. They were leaving him so open; it was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
They should be. My 5 favorites. It's going to. I mean, he's the best player in the league almost. But Joel Embiid. I feel like I'm watching Walton or Russell or Jabbar or Chamberlain when I'm watching Embiid.
He's
And that's
dominating.
I just love watching him. The guy that you don't like, that I love, and I want to watch him all the time is Dario Saric. And
He looked good.
I really like.
I liked what I saw
That's
from
a
Dario.
6'10". Is there a better 3-point shooting 6'10" in the league other than Dirk? And Dirk is gone. He can really play the 3. And just look at who'd you say? say?
I said there's several.
Instead of 6'10s, they shoot better than Dario Saric from the three?
Yeah, Al Horford, Kevin Love. I don't know.
The first guy you said, Embiid.
I actually
Karl
take,
Towns. I don't know.
I would actually take Saric, but all you do is
Kristaps.
look right back to Game 5 against the Celtics.
Karl
27
Towns,
points,
yeah.
15 rebounds, and 5 assists.
No,
Beautiful passing.
I really like Saric.
Beautiful
I think
passing.
Saric.
But there was a time when you didn't like him any better than Marcus Morris. He's one of my favorites to watch. The other one, I think I agree. Sloan will agree with me. I love watching Steven Adams. He's just one of my favorite guys.
Absolutely.
How are you guys picking your favorites from preseason for players that haven't played yet?
Well, they're my favorite. All I got was they're my favorite
Oh, I
players.
thought you were just saying favorite.
Yeah,
Players.
that's fine. Yeah, well,
In a vacuum.
I meant that
you mean
we've
you're
seen.
going by favorite performances in the preseason?
Yeah,
That's why I
favorite
was
player that
wondering.
you've seen.
And you're saying we're already halfway through the preseason. It's only been 3 days, and we're already halfway through the preseason.
Yeah.
Shay's like, October, here we go.
Finish off your
I'm
favorites, even though
always
they
going
weren't
to be a
included.
Malcolm Brogdon guy, so
Yeah, you
I'm
love
going to
him.
be following him all the time, and I like his
Becoming
game.
more and more irrelevant.
Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah's
All right,
just a favorite for me.
so
Who's your 5?
I'm going to say I'm just going with what Mike was going with.
That's fine.
Favorites.
Yeah,
Who's your favorite player?
I didn't specify.
My favorite non-Celtics are Donovan Mitchell and Victor Oladipo. I
Yeah.
want to see how they come, in their second year after breaking out.
Yes.
How are they going to be? 2 really good playoff teams that they play for. I want to see Drew Holiday and
He
how
looked good
he
yesterday.
continues to
Holiday
I
improve.
like the way that team looked.
And Chris Middleton, because Chris Middleton, I think, is really turning into a top 30, potentially top 20 player by the end of this year.
Yeah, that's not
hopefully.
crazy. Something that I may disagree with you a little bit with the Pelicans. I wasn't necessarily that high on what I saw from them as a whole team. Anthony Davis was everything Anthony Davis is and more. Drew Holiday was back into. He was immediately playing at the caliber he was in the playoffs.
Did they stop Mirotic or
Those two guys were playing at a high level immediately. Julius Randle, we didn't get to it yet, but he was on my worst list.
Okay.
He didn't assert
I'm
himself in
expecting
the
a lot from
manner
him.
that he looked to be looking to do at the end of the season last year.
Yeah.
He wasn't aggressive, he wasn't strong in transition, and he wasn't finishing around the rim the way that he was previously. So I was disappointed in that. I thought Elfrid Payton looked horrible. I wasn't necessarily high on him before, but then the rest of their pieces are all still so
about Mirotic?
murky.
I like Mirotic.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of impressions from him overall.
Did he start or did Randall start? You don't know?
I actually don't remember.
Okay.
I didn't see the start of the game.
Okay.
I started watching the second quarter. But I don't know. I wasn't that
I just like
high
how
on the
Drew Holiday
Pelicans.
looked. I thought he looked
yeah,
good.
I think Holiday and Davis were what you expect from those
Yeah.
two. But outside of that, I wasn't necessarily high on them. I hear what you're saying about those other guys, and we'll see how they play coming in. Indiana plays tonight. We can see Victor Oladipo and Miles Turner. I think Milwaukee doesn't play until tomorrow.
Sacramento's playing
That'll be
tonight.
interesting. Sacramento plays tonight. But back to my list of people, because I wanted to talk about, or actually I want to go to this, the Sixers. I almost put Markelle Fultz on this list for favorite players, but he is such a weird test case in terms of what should be good on a basketball court. He kind of bleeds into almost every single one of my categories because I have so many questions about him. I like watching him, but he's also doesn't look great in some areas. He looks like he's going to be able to provide for this team in so many ways, but I don't think he's ever going to have a jump shot. The more that I see it, his form is fixed.
agree.
His form is fixed a little bit,
Agree.
but he's still so tentative. I think it is a mental thing. I don't think he's going to be able to stretch to the three and be able to contribute what we were seeing when he was at Washington. But again, I don't know if it matters. I think he is a big enough of a difference-making player on this team that they can have as many shooters on that in the 5 that are on the court, even if him and Simmons are on the court at the same time, that I think they'll be fine. His ability to penetrate to the hoop, I think he looks great.
I think it does matter because you can't have in a team with Simmons as the floor general. You can't have another player that can't shoot. And you lost Saric, and I'm wondering, are they going to pick up a perennial 6-man candidate that
Covington?
played? Who's the guy that played in Minnesota?
Jamal Crawford.
They were talking about picking him up.
But
he's still not signed to a
Winslow,
team.
right?
He still could.
But I just think that they need him to get there with the shot.
Yeah.
And Elton Brand was on the Low Post last week, and he was talking about the shots there. He's got the confidence,
Right.
and the mid-range is good.
Yes.
But 3-point, he's still working on it.
Yeah.
And I think that he's almost just saying that to convince himself.
No.
I don't think Elton Brand really
Form
believes
is
that.
better, but it's still real bad.
I don't think that these guys, when Brett Brown and Elton Brand and J.J. Redick and Dario Saric come out and they are talking to press and they're talking to media and they get asked and they're prompted about Markelle Fultz, because obviously Markelle Fultz is one of the hottest topics around the Sixers, they all are being honest when they're saying his jump shot is coming along, his jump shot looks good, because you know what? I think in these practice situations, when he's in an empty gym and there's just 30 people there that are the people on that roster, the coaching staff, and maybe a couple trainers, I bet that his shot is draining. But the reason I think that it's going to be a problem is because I do think it's the yips. The more that I see from him, the more that I don't think his mentality carries over for his ability to be able to be a reputable, deep threat. It must have something to do with the crowd. I don't know what it is.
I kind of used to be like that with free throws. I could knock down like 50 in a row at home, and then I couldn't in a huge game. I couldn't.
There's countless players across NBA history that when they're in a closed gym by themselves, who have been rumored to, you can talk to Jackie McMullen, who interviews countless players, including Shaquille O'Neal. She'll go to a gym with Shaquille O'Neal, and she says Shaq will make 35 free throws in a row, and we'll say, look at this, Jackie. And then she'll say, what the heck is going on, Shaquille? Why can't you do it in the game? And he just says, I don't know. And I think that's what we're seeing with Markelle Fultz. But to go back to the main point, I don't think it matters. I think when you have a lineup that has J.J. Redick, Saric, and Embiid on it, or you have Robert Covington, or you have Mike Muscala, all of their other players that aren't Ben Simmons and aren't Markelle Fultz are shooting threats. And both Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz are elite playmakers. The passing acumen that I'm seeing from, or that I already know that Ben Simmons has, I'm also seeing in Markelle Fultz. They have unusual layouts where they have Markelle Fultz in the dunker spot, flashing back and forth baseline under the rim. And they have shooters spread out wide. They have Ben Simmons crash towards the hoop. Defenders collapse onto him. He hits Markelle Fultz. The replacement defender closes out on Fultz under the hoop, and then Fultz has the vision where he can hit anyone on the floor, and he's doing a great job. I love what I'm seeing from Fultz, even though I don't think he's ever going to be able to shoot.
Well, I think the other category there, to me, he made my 3 question marks. Some of the biggest question marks.
No, he was one of my questions.
And my question on him is he a number 1 pick or number 1 bust? Is he Michael Olakandi, Greta Oden, Kwame Brown, and Anthony Bennett? And what you're describing here is somebody that's never going to be a starter in the league, Shay. As much as you like him, you're describing somebody that's never going to be a starter.
I think he's more of a bust.
No, he's not. He's too small to do it. What you're describing, I like what he's doing, but it's a bench player that does what you're describing him doing.
They started him in this game, and I think it worked. They started him
and Simmons, like Sloan is saying,
they're going to win. They're going to win despite him, not because of him.
I disagree. I think he makes winning plays, and I think that his shooting isn't that big of an issue.
It is a
huge
question mark. And I said that they lost Saric. I meant that they lost Gallinari.
Gallinari. What are your other questions? Let's just bleed to that immediately, not even spin the wheel. What are your other 2 questions?
Well, I like top rookie. I really like that one.
Who's the top rookie?
Who's going to be the top one? And that's such a nice class, when you're looking at, and I like what I saw of Miles on.
Okay, let's talk about
I think the 3 of us are all going to vote the same top rookie, right?
Who?
Luka.
Doncic. Yeah, Doncic is the best.
Well, I guess, but I still got to see more. I mean, I want to see some Mo Bamba.
I'm excited for tonight's game. We're going to see Bagley versus Ayton.
I want to see Trae Young. I want to see those things. I'm not giving it to anybody yet.
Doncic is the favorite, but there's plenty of room for other people to be able to jump in and steal that from him. I want to talk about Miles because I think the hype is getting too strong based off these 2 games. I like what I saw from him. I think he's going to be a good NBA player in the long run. But I think we really need to pump the brakes about him being in a tier that could be considered for Rookie of the Year. I think he is closer to the 6th best to the 9th best rookie in this class. I like his ability to create when he's not dependent on to handle the ball because he doesn't have that strong of a handle. Nope. He's strong, but he can't create his own shot. He can catch and shoot okay, but I don't necessarily think anything about his offensive game is about him. It's more about the team that's around him and whether that happens. He's explosive, but his finishing at the rim isn't impressive unless he's doing a putback. I like what I saw, and he's going to make highlights, but I don't think he's that winning of a player immediately.
I think you're missing something. I think what you're missing is Michigan State. And what you're seeing is Draymond Green coming. There's something in the water at Michigan State that creates a hard, tough, strong, physical, NBA-ready type player. And I'm seeing that with Bridges. And before we were thinking of whether the guy from Mikal Bridges from Villanova, which one was better, I think it's hands down that this Bridges is a better player.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm willing to say that.
And that's an improvement over where I was before with him. And I think on that team, Why not? Why can't he be average 15 to 18 points a game on that team?
I don't know if he's that
Why
high.
not?
But
Who's standing in his way?
I think that's why I do, like you said earlier, we may see Kemba getting traded. A player like Miles Bridges is why I think that team would make sense to trade Kemba Walker. And maybe they send him, I don't even know, in a 3-team deal with the Clippers and they can get back Milos or something because that player at point guard would help Miles Bridges.
But Kemba's a good point guard.
He's a great point guard. He's an all-star point guard.
If that team shows improvement, and they play like they did in the first 2 games against the Celtics, if that's an indication, I think Kemba's going to be happy on that team, and I think that team's going to improve, and that coach might be good. I didn't like, when I first looked at him, I was like, oh my God, nobody's going to listen to this guy, but I like what they were doing out there.
Okay, one of my questions is, who is the second best player on the Los Angeles Lakers?
Wow, that's a good one.
Ooh.
I'm going to start
Kyle
off.
Kuzma.
I got an obvious one.
I'm going to start off, and
I know who I think.
I'm going to give Mike some props, even though he's still dramatically crazy.
I'm not ready.
He's still dramatically crazy. From what I saw in that game, Rajon Rondo was the second best player on that team.
It's interesting what he's
and
doing.
I think that his effort, maybe it's because his role isn't going to be dramatic and his role isn't going to be heavy minutes, that his effort is so high octane and his willingness to go all out and every single second that he's on that floor, I loved what he was contributing. He had a different fervor to him that I didn't see in regular season.
Who's going to keep him from getting minutes, Lonzo?
I'm not, but he's not going to be playing 30 minutes a game.
I think Rondo might be the most valuable non-scorer in this year's NBA.
Maybe.
I think so.
It's possible.
I loved what I saw from him.
I'll go with that.
His motivation on the flow of that offense.
What I didn't like
in the pushing, that tempo that he was instituting.
You know what? You know how I like Rondo, but what I'm not seeing on that team is I'm not seeing a quick enough pace to take advantage of Rondo. I'm not seeing.
I disagree. I saw it.
I don't think they're transitioning off the board. I think it's still relatively slow. I know you saw guys get open, like off the tip and off and fill in the lanes and stuff, but I think they could push the ball a whole lot faster off the board into Rondo's hands.
I agree with you, but I think that I think that's more of the bane because of Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma not being maybe aware of where their lane should be, maybe not being aware of where they should be on the court, what their role is.
Like when they I like what you mentioned before about how LeBron is like just laying back kind of right now, not really. They were having huddles where Rondo was doing all the talking on the court, and LeBron was just making like he was listening. He may have been listening. I wonder if that carries forward, or whether that's something where they're going to have. Is he going to have a leadership role on that team with LeBron, like nobody else has ever had with LeBron?
No, we've never seen
anybody. We've never seen Kyrie. We've never seen anybody else take a leadership role on the same team with LeBron.
He has a higher. He's probably the highest IQ player that LeBron's ever played with.
What's that game he plays? Then he can play 30 people at once. I was trying to think of what that was.
I don't know. I'm confused about that. I like what I've seen from him, but what we perennially see from LeBron when he enters into new teams is in preseason and even sometimes in the first 5 or so games of the regular season, he often takes a sit back and he takes a step back and he lets the offense flow how it would flow if he was a bystander. And he comes in and he'll do a little bit of ISO here and there when the team needs bailing out, but he lets the team maybe collapse onto itself.
Let's see what everybody else has got.
And last year we saw the Cavs offense implode when he did that. But this session with Rondo at the helm and with Brandon Ingram as a cutter, I liked what I was seeing. And I think that this Lakers team is going to be more productive than people are expecting.
What I'm watching for, my question is, what's the bottom 4 of the Western Conference playoff picture going to look like?
4, yeah.
Because you got Denver, who I think has gotten marginally better. Awesome. I think the Clippers are going to be a contender. I think San Antonio's got a lot of question marks, but they're always a legitimate contender. What are we going to see there? Who's going to sneak in? How's Minnesota going to look after Butler leaves?
Butler's gone. Minnesota's out.
Yeah,
I think that kind of linking that to one of the categories we didn't get to, which was who looked worse, I thought the entire Clippers roster looked awful. Besides Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that team looked like a chicken with its head cut off. They were running into each other offensively. There was no flow. There was no chemistry. They were all over the place. They were playing the Sydney Kings. They were going against Andrew Bogut and a bunch of nobodies. And for the first half of that game, the Sydney Kings were playing with more fervor, more intensity, were getting to more loose balls, and were more in it and wanted it more than the Clippers. And maybe it was just because they were a little rusty and it was the first time that a lot of these guys were playing together. But Shai was the only guy that was playing with any tempo and who had any clue of what was needed to happen on offense and on defense.
This could be Doc Rivers' swan song.
Well, they don't have a lead guard there, and we were talking about.
All right, so let's rank those. Let's close out with ranking the guards on the Clippers. and I'm going to go with a shocker, and I'm ranking Shea 1. I think he is the best guard on that roster.
But by default.
For what is being offered on both ends of the floor. He offers things that are creation in terms of pick and roll, in terms of creation of himself, in terms of getting to the hoop, in terms of his own shot, and defensively of being able to guard 1 to 3. He offers on both sides of the ball. I like Beverly and I like Lou Will, but both of those guys are one side of the ball players.
And they are what they are. There's no ceiling, there's no upside really at this point.
Yeah.
They are exactly what you expect them to be.
What's your rank?
I think you probably have got to go with that, and I think that's real. Again, it's by default, and it's really a weak position that they've got guys like Bradley and Beverly and Lou Will and Milos, and yet they're going to have to default to Alexander as their point guard.
Gilgeous Alexander could end up in the top 5 in Rookie of the Year votes.
I think he should be someone to pay attention to.
I don't think that team excels with him. I think he. I think
I think they're likely to be in the lottery. But that's all the time we have today.
It is.
Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the games for the rest of the preseason. Adios.
Go Red Sox!
The wheel is turning and you can't slow